ASMR Coffin Radio.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Coffin Radio. I am Heartthrob Rob, and joining me live from WrestleCon 2023 is the one, the only Sean Morley, aka Val Venis. How are you doing, brother?
Hello, ladies.
You have such a cool career. It's amazing to sit down with you. I was kind of wondering, if we go back, you come in '98 with the vignettes, the Jenna Jameson vignettes and all that.
Yeah.
How was that for you to come in as something that really had never, ever been done before?
It was different, I'll tell you that much. It's hard to put my finger on exactly how to sum up that whole point in time when I was just rolling into the WWE. All I was doing was looking at the content that I was basically being given and told to perform and just going, oh, this is going to be great. When I first came into WWE, we had writers that were pushing the envelope, and the stuff they were creating for us to perform was outstanding. I mean, you had Vince Russo there that was he had a storyline for every match. So when he was, bringing in Jenna Jameson and, to be honest, I was never really a big fan of, the whole porn thing, right? It wasn't something I ever really thought about. And so I didn't know who the stars were in that industry or anything like that. So when they first said, hey, we're bringing Jenna Jameson, and you're going to do an vignette with her, and I'm like, who's that? And then they showed me on the computer who that was. I'm like, oh, okay, that's all right. Well, that's cool. Yeah. And so it was cool getting to work, with somebody. I guess she was one of the top stars at the time, right?
Of all time.
Yeah.
Definitely top for sure.
Yeah.
What a crazy time.
Crazy time.
And you had such a great career. I mean, you had both. You became a champion of both the Intercontinental Champion.
Yep.
And
Twice.
Exactly. It won to Valentine's Day Massacre, and then you also became the European champion.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
What did it mean back then to you to have the company put so much faith in you to become the champ like that?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I worked really, really hard to get where I was at the time. It was an incredible ride. I loved it. Obviously, the Val Venis character being what it was, it's an Attitude Era character.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, in my view, the Attitude Era was probably the most entertaining era of pro wrestling in history. And I think that had a lot to do with pushing the envelope into different aspects of storylines that reflected, in some aspects, real life. It might be real life for some people that most people never looked at, such as the porn industry, until we created a character called Val Venis and just kind of threw it out there. You know what I mean?
Made it huge.
Right, and I think pushing the envelope in storylines, not just one or two storylines, but those writers, they had storylines for every match on the card, and I really think that's what made the show so entertaining. The combination that every match on the card was deeply involved in storylines, and those storylines, for the most part, were consistently pushing the envelope.
Absolutely. And I was rewatching some of those old episodes semi-recently, and it's just incredible, I don't mean this in a bad way, the mid-card, guys that you had at the time. It was you, X-Pac, Dlo, Albert Dross, Road Dogg, Steve Blackman. You guys really were putting together hell of matches, all the rivalries that you guys had, and I just, I clap, dude. I freaking applaud all the great matches you guys had. So,
well, thank you, my friend.
For that, for sure.
Thank you.
Who do you think were some of your favorite matches with people like that in that era?
Oh, I had so many matches that I really, really enjoyed, but I'd probably say the most notable would be my SummerSlam '98 match with Dlo Brown.
I love that one.
The whole feud with Rikishi from start to finish. I mean, I loved working Rikishi from day one, and that guy's so smooth in the ring. He comes up with fantastic ideas. He's easy to work with. It's really incredible working with him too. And Goldust was another one. Goldust was, how do you say? Okay, Goldust is so damn good at what he does, and when I'm in the ring, I mean, once I'm done my whole hello ladies and my double entendre joke, then that bell rings. I flip that switch and I go into, okay, it's wrestling time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I took it real serious all the time. Goldust was one of those guys that was so good that even when I'm in there and I'm I'm going, balls to the walls inside that ring. And he is so good that all of a sudden he can slow it down and do something that will make you laugh in the ring. And he just breaks that moment, and it really made it a lot of fun working, because he would do stuff in the ring that I just shake my head and I go, I can't believe we just did that.
You bring up Rikishi, and you say that he's a smooth wrestler. I was wondering, how smooth did he have to be to talk you into taking the bump where that was on top of you, right? When he comes off the cage?
It sure was, yeah.
Off of the cage, onto Val Venis. How did he talk you to that? How was that?
Well, by that moment, I had worked with Rikishi so much. I understood, how he worked inside that ring. And quite frankly, when we came to the conclusion that, hey, we're going to do this, he's going to come off that top of that cage onto you, I was perfectly fine with it. I was confident that he could pull this off and that we could walk out of there alive. And there was no issues. I mean, I'm not going to beat around the bush. When he came down, that's a lot of weight coming down, but he took care of me. Definitely.
You're a better man than I am, bro. You're braver than I'll ever be. That's for damn sure.
Thank you, brother. Heck yeah. Sometimes you got to throw caution to the wind.
Yeah, for sure, man. Another thing that was kind of trippy is you were Punk's first WWE match. Is that true?
Yeah.
How was that? Did you see something in it at the time, or is it just another guy, maybe on the roster?
So with Punk, Steven Richards had talked a lot about him. I've seen a little bit of stuff he did on the independents and whatnot. And he was a good wrestler, man. Real good wrestler. And so when Stevie Richards said, hey, they're going to give him a tryout or whatever, I can't remember exactly how it all went down, but they're going to give him a tryout. I was like, oh, cool, very good. In my view, hey, this could be somebody new, good to work with, And when he came in, they had me work with them, and so I basically went to Punk. Now, I had only seen a little bit of Punk's indie matches. Apparently, he was pretty methodical in his indie days, but the bits that I saw of Punk, I saw high flying and just kind of no rhyme or rhythm. But mind you, I didn't see a whole lot of his content. So I made it very clear, hey, nobody here knows who you are. When you walk out there, they're not going to know you. And so I wanted the audience to have an emotional connection to Punk inside the ring. Before we leave that ring, I wanted them to have some kind of emotional connection with him. So we did the whole storyline where babyface versus babyface. They know who I am. They don't know who he is. We just do the thing, bang, 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 1-2, kick out, 1-2, kick out, square off. You get the round of applause, that type of deal. Then go to turn my back, G up the crowd, and he chop blocks out my knee. Instantaneously, that entire sold-out audience went from not really understanding, knowing, or caring about Punk to boo! They hated Punk now, right? And then he worked my leg. We didn't do any high-flying real stuff. We told a story. He got heat on my leg. I sold the leg. We told the story. Blew a little bit of comeback. Always cognizant of the injured knee that Punk's been putting a lot of steam on. And then we got to a point where we did a couple false finishes. Then we turn it around and he gets me in that single leg crab, right back to my knee. Now I'm fighting to get to the ropes. I get to the rope. All of a sudden, people are caring about Punk because we slowed it down and we told a story. And it got him signed. The match got him signed, and from there he just took off, right? So,
good stuff.
Congrats to him. Yeah, congrats to him. He really blew up hard after that.
Hell yeah.
Quickly too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you kind of move on. You do a lot of other stuff, but kind of wrapping this up. You did. Are you still in the cannabis business? Still doing the cannabis thing?
Oh yeah. I'm working at Health for Life dispensaries in Arizona right now.
I wanted to say too. I think that maybe if marijuana had been more legal in the 80s and 90s, I know you weren't wrestling in the 80s like that, but I think that's a lot better of an alternative than maybe a pill bottle.
Oh yeah,
hitting another round of drinks. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So maybe if you could talk about that, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I drank in my early 20s. Alcohol was never something I really liked. It was what I just assumed adults do when you go out with the boys. You know what I mean? Yeah. And but it was never something I really liked. And then when I was 27. I didn't like the hangover. I didn't like the dumb stuff I would do under the influence of alcohol. And I never really liked the taste of it. So when I took inventory, there was nothing I really liked about alcohol. Then when I was 27, I was hanging out with a bunch of guys in the hotel room after a show one night, and they're passing a doobie around like they normally would.
Yeah.
And I was just sipping on a beer. I was about halfway through it, and I just said, you know what, let me see what you guys like about that green stuff so much. I didn't know anything about it. All I knew is I was anti everything prior to that. And so I took 2 puffs off that marijuana cigarette and coughed my ass off. And then I sat back, and I think it was Pac was across from me. And I said, after about 5 minutes of sitting there waiting to see aliens, because I didn't know what to expect, right? I look at Pac and I go, Pac, when's this going to kick in? And he looks at me and he goes, what are you talking about? So when am I going to see aliens? And, or aliens. And he leans up, he goes, how do you feel right now? And then I took inventory about how I felt, and I go, I feel slower, I feel chilled and relaxed. And he goes, that's all it does.
Exactly.
And I'm like, this is it? I'm not going to see anything? He's like, no, dude, that's all it does. And I pushed my beer aside, and I never drank ever again.
There you go.
That was it.
That's a story for sure.
Heck yeah.
Well, Val Venis, I just wanted to say thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Any shout-outs or social media you want to plug? Where can people follow you on social media?
Man, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Val Venis ENT, which is short for entertainment. So Val Venis ENT. You can follow me on Gab and on Twitter, the same handle, Val Venis ENT. Also, check out my Val Venis versus the government channel called Top Shelf Anarchy on YouTube. Check that out. It's quite enlightening. You might find it shocking a little bit at first. Watch it a few times. Eventually it'll click into what it is I'm trying to accomplish with those videos. So Top Shelf Anarchy on YouTube. Definitely check it out.
Perfect. Thank you so much, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time. For Val Venis, I am Heartthrob Rob. And if you like what you're watching, then hop in the coffin. Follow us on social media at Coffin Radio. Shout out to LAX Fan Fest. And that's all for today.
ASMR Coffin Radio.